So, welcome everybody. This little guitar, Kimsey, I think, or something like that. It's a little inexpensive one that was brought by one of our neighbors, and brought by, should I say, and it had a little problem. The head was busted off, and I'll show you how we got that repaired. There's the back of it. So this is it all done. You can see it's got some more wounds now. Oops, get in. There we go. It's got some more wounds, and in the top you can kind of see that it's recovered, but it's still got a scar there. Anyhow, it's a nice little guitar and has a good sound. It's good for learning all kinds of things on. So for whatever you want to do with it, whether it's a, kind of a light rock or any of those kind of things, or bluegrass. Country, you can do all kinds of stuff on a guitar like this. Anyhow, we thought let's get it back into working shape. So join us as we do that. Thank you for watching. And please, if you wouldn't mind, like and subscribe. Really helps out. I know it doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out a lot. Appreciate it. So join us as we repair this little guitar and bring it back to work, or bring it back to life, should I say. Thanks so much. All right, so today's project is a Kimsey guitar. Not very expensive. You can find them on Amazon for $100 to $120, but clearly something's wrong here. So the head, this is called the head of the guitar, broke off from the neck, this is the neck of the guitar. And we're going to try and fix that. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing we'll do is take the strings off and these tuners off of here so we can have this separate and have the guitar easy to move around then. Well, there's a lot of really great videos out there, and I'll put some links down below on repairing this kind of a break. It's always a challenge because you can see the wood grain has basically split, or it's split along the grain. And we could just glue it, and it might hold. A safer way would be to drill a couple of small holes in here and put just a couple of dowels across this area up into here and here, and that would help to give this a little more structure. So we'll see if we can do that. Now the trick with that is is locating where the two will be. So there are a couple of ways to approach it. One is to put just a very tiny tack on here and here, and then take this and push it on there as close as you can get, and the tack will make a mark. And that's a great idea, except this kind of a break, let's see if I can show you this, this kind of a break goes together like this and kind of slides, so it's a little harder to get that to happen. Another way would be to just simply drill through the back finish here. So it would be to have these attached and then to drill sort of diagonally. And that would be another all right way to do it. So I'm going to ponder which way I think would be the best, and then I'll show you what my conclusion is. Just glue, or try to put dowels in, or what. So let me ponder that, and I'll get back to you. All right, so what I've done here is I think I will do a hole here and here. And what I've done is put some tape on either side, draw this so that I can line these up nicely. I've done that on both sides. And then I just continued the line down here, and then I sighted down the neck to try and get this pretty centered. And then I'll drill a hole in here and try to get a matching hole on this side. So I'll start with drilling the hole here, and then I'll go to this side and see if we can't get at least one dowel in there. All right, let's see how that'll work out. All right, just to add in here, so that's a furniture dowel, and that's pretty darn big, so I don't think we'll get that in there. But this is kind of a little smaller dowel, and these are hardwoods, but I think I can get two of these in here and here on either side of this mark, and that would give two, at least that diameter, hardwood dowels between the two of these. So let me see if I can't get that sorted out. All right, so here we go. It's actually hooked together. I haven't glued it yet, but I'm going to show you what this looks like on the inside now. So I'm going to pull these two apart, and I've kind of got them tapped together. So I've decided to use little short finishing nails in there and use those as my, if you might, connecting dowels. And I've drilled holes on either side, and I've had to make them a little bigger because getting this just right on there is a little tricky. But when I get the glue in there, this will lock these pins into place. We can consider them sort of like rebar in concrete. So I'm hoping that that'll give enough strength across this shear plane here, this where the head broke off, that'll help to keep it stable and keep it from snapping off again. So let's go ahead and glue this up, and we'll see if we can get it nice and tight, and then we'll work on the finish on the other side. All right, so here it is the next day. It's good and hard now. So we'll need to get that ground down so that it's flush or just slightly below this surface. So let's get started with that. All right, so sanded it down and put just a little bit more of this wood filler on top, just as a thin coat to get it nice and smooth. And on the back side, gone ahead and see if you can see this. There we go. Sanded this smooth. It was close, but just needed a little bit, and so now I'm going to try to match that color, and then we'll do a little lacquer over the top of that. Alright, so I know it looks messy, but trying to stain it, it wouldn't take stain. So what I'm doing is using something that's got the stain mixed in with the finish. In this case, it's a Varathane finish. So I'm trying to keep the dark component up there, and then I'll sand it, and hopefully that'll take care of it. So it's going to look a little messy to begin with, but I think we'll get it here. I'm going to keep dabbing on, trying to keep the color. See if I can get the light over there so you can see what I'm looking at here. It's a little hard to see with this, but sort of right there you can see it. Sorry, I'm trying to get that light just right. So I'm trying to keep the stain up in here. This sort of stain and finish approach, because the wood doesn't seem to be absorbing it. So I'll keep doing that, and we'll see how that turns out. Alright, so this is all sanded very smooth. We've got some flat black here that we're going to try out, see how it does. Give it a spray here first. That looks good. Hopefully that matches up, and this will match up here. I'm hoping. But we'll let that dry and see how it looks. All right, so taking the tape off and done just a little bit of a scratch coat. I've used 2000, that's the 2000 grit, let me turn it around here for you, 2000 grit paper on it, and it gives it just a little bit of a, takes a little bit of the gloss off of it. So I need to feather this in. Whoops, you can see the line where the tape was, and I need to feather that in. I can feel just a little bit of a ridge, so I'm going to work on feathering that in. Feathering just means that I'm going to sand that area specifically to try and make it so that there's no ridge that I can feel with my finger. So I'll work on that, and then I'm going to use the same kind of polish as I do on my other guitar projects. I'm going to use this polish. Turn it around here so you can see it. The polishing compound like this. And then I'll probably use this stuff as a final scratch out. Those are two. This is the finest grit one, is the scratch out. So let me do that and see how well I can get these two to match. It's getting there. It's got a little bit of something I want to do to it though. Alrighty, let me work on that. Well, I tried sanding and I got the finishes to match up a little better. See if I can get the light just right so you can see. But there were a couple of divots in there, and I thought, well, let's just do one more coat of the wood filler paste and just get a couple of those little low spots, because the more I sanded, the more I could see them. So we're going to let that dry. We'll do another sanding and see if we can't get this. We'll paint over that again and see if we can't get this looking pretty sharp here. All right. All right, so here's the next coat of this wood filler on top, and most of this will come off. There's a spot right here that was filled, and then there's a few little ones in here. So let's sand this off and we'll see what it looks like. All right, so that feels pretty good. I think time for another coat of paint on there, but I think I won't put any tape on it this time. I'll try to feather that in there rather than have tape, and that leaves a line in it. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, let's let that dry and see how it looks. All right, so yes, let's see how this looks here. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I wish it would blend in better, but I think with some sanding we'll get it cleaned up nicely. Now see, I would have guessed this was not gloss, but I've put in some, this is a flat black, but this looks more glossy compared to it. So maybe I'll just do a little bit of gloss black on there. See how that looks. All right, so here it is with the second coat on there, and you can see that a couple of spots bubbled up. And that happens sometimes. Just can't help it. Probably something in the wood filler I used. Just didn't like that paint. But anyhow, we'll sand it down and maybe one more coat on there. But you can see how it comes out a little uneven. And hopefully by sanding we'll take it down. I'm moving the light around so you can kind of see what I see. Because if I just shine it one place, it doesn't look too bad. But then I do this, and you can see more of the variation in the color. So let's do a little light sanding, and we'll see how that turns out. All right, a short lesson on trying to match finishes, especially on a guitar, but wood finishes or even paint finishes anywhere. You can see, well, it's all black, but the original is a little bit more of a flat black than this, even though this is a satin. This isn't a high gloss. So trying to match that is going to be difficult. Oh, by the way, this is sanding and 2 more coats of the black paint, and it's still wrinkled up a little bit like this. So I think at this point, we're going to call this one, and we're just going to sand this down and try to use sanding to match these 2 finishes here. And I'll show you what that looks like. But I think we're done on this. We've certainly achieved the goal of fixing the head, gluing it back together, and knowing full well that the finish was going to be difficult to match here, and, well, you can't see it here, but I've got tape over it, but back here as well. And so there is always going to be a scar. But hopefully it goes back into service, and it'll be a good little guitar for folks as they go forward. So let's go ahead and sand this, and enough talking. Let's get busy here. All right, so we're looking at several coats of black, lots of sanding all the way down through the different grits, as well as polishing with a polishing compound. And then the final is with this material called Scratch Out, which gives a nice smooth finish to it. So the finish is good, but I still couldn't match it. You can see right here, when I get a little closer, you can see that I just can't get that matched between here, the original finish, and this new one. So I'm going to call it quits. This is a little bit messy looking down here, but once the strings are in place and all the tuners, some of this will blend in. But you know, at some point, I got to call it quits. I can't really spend too much more time on this particular one. I've got other projects. So I'm going to go ahead and take all the tape off, and we'll string it up and see how our repair job did. Well, so this is how it turned out. You can see there's still you can see a scar there, and you can see the scar there. But it's all hooked back together, and it's working. So we'll call that a win. And we'll say that that's it for that project, and this little guitar can go back to its owner, and they can have some fun with it. My little guitar got kind of squashed. His little head got busted off. Now I got the broken guitar blues, 'cause I can't play my favorite songs anymore. So I took it down the street to this guy in his garage. I hooked on, take 2. My little guitar got kinda squashed. Its little head got busted off. Now I got the broken guitar blues, 'cause I can't play my favorite songs anymore. So I took it down the street to this guy in his garage. He hooked the head back on its neck. Now I got the fixed guitar blues, 'cause I still can't play my favorite songs, 'cause I suck. A little practice won't fix. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you later. Bye.